They say memory loss feels like fog, but for Dr. Evelyn Hart, it feels more like standing in a locked room where someone keeps rearranging the furniture. She knows what certainty feels like. She spent 4 decades teaching it, diagnosing it, defending it, and yet this morning one small detail refuses to behave. The white plastic pill cup on her bedside table is empty. It shouldn't be. She knows that with the kind of conviction that doesn't come from hope but from training. Across the room, her son-in-law stands framed in the doorway, smiling gently, patiently, like a man waiting for a child to finish a tantrum. His voice is calm, almost kind. He tells her he watched her take the pills an hour ago. He says she thanked him. He says she laughed. Her daughter nods beside him, eyes tired, already halfway convinced. Evelyn feels it then. Not confusion, not fear, something older, sharper. That man is lying. She doesn't say it out loud. People have started correcting her when she does that. Instead, she nods, lets the moment pass, and files it away like a case note no one asked her to write. Somewhere beneath the slipping timestamps and missing minutes, her instincts remain intact and they are screaming. The house is too large for 3 people. Timber beams stretch overhead, glass walls stare out at snow-drowned mountains, and silence settles everywhere like dust. Since her husband died, the place hasn't felt empty, it has felt watched. Evelyn stands in the kitchen holding a carton of cream frozen mid-thaw. She knows it goes in the refrigerator, she knows that. But which steel door opens to cold food and which one hums with chilled wine? She whispers instructions to herself. Left. No, wrong, right, success. A yellow sticky note joins the others already plastered across cabinets and mirrors. 9:10 a.m. cream put away. The notes help, most days, but today something is different. On the island sits a blue note, not hers. The handwriting is firm, almost irritated. Please stop hiding things that don't need hiding. Her breath catches. She doesn't remember hiding anything. She doesn't remember writing that note. And yet, it exists. Solid, accusatory, evidence of a version of herself she doesn't recognize and a narrative being built without her consent. 6 months ago, the diagnosis arrived wrapped in clinical sympathy, early-stage neurodegeneration, unusually fast progression. A cruel irony for a woman whose life's work revolved around memory and manipulation. Now she is the experiment. She retreats to the only room that still feels anchored to truth, her late husband's study. The scent of old paper and pipe smoke lingers. Shelves of vinyl records line the walls, each one a voice preserved in grooves. Her husband believed analog sound captured honesty better than anything digital ever could. Evelyn lifts one record at random, feeling its weight. As the needle drops and static crackles to life, a familiar voice fills the room, and for a moment the fog recedes. Then headlights sweep across the window, a vehicle pulling into the drive, unscheduled, uninvited, and suddenly Evelyn knows something else with absolute certainty. Whatever is happening in this house did not begin today. The vehicle idles at the gate like it belongs there, confident, familiar. Dr. Evelyn Hart checks the clock on the microwave. 8:32 a.m. She checks the yellow notes taped beside it. Nothing scheduled, no reminders. No warnings. Her pulse tightens anyway, responding to a pattern she can't quite name but knows she's seen before. The intercom crackles. "Mom, it's me," her daughter's voice, relieved, almost rehearsed. Evelyn presses the button, forcing calm into her tone. "Lena, are you coming by today?" There's a pause just long enough to feel calculated. Then another voice slides in, smooth and confident as if it owns the air. Evelyn, we talked about this last night. We're moving in just for a while. Her mind scrambles, searching for the memory of a call, a visit, anything. Nothing surfaces, just static. She grips the counter, knuckles whitening. I don't remember agreeing to that. That's okay, the man says gently, too gently. That's why we're here. The gate opens with a mechanical groan. The sound feels final. Within minutes, the house fills with motion, boots, boxes, voices that don't ask permission. Movers track snow across rugs that once felt sacred. Evelyn stands near the fireplace, cardigan clutched tight, watching strangers rearrange her life with professional indifference. The man, Caleb, she reminds herself, reading his name off a mental label, directs them effortlessly. He corrects, commands, smiles. When he turns to her, the smile softens into concern. Sorry about the disruption, Evelyn. It'll all settle soon. Her husband never liked him. That memory surfaces cleanly, sharp as glass. A man who performs kindness is still performing, he once said. Caleb, Evelyn begins carefully, I value my independence. I'm not sure this is necessary. Lena steps in, hands trembling as she takes her mother's. Mom, after last week, after the stove incident, we got scared. I didn't leave the stove on, Evelyn says instantly. Caleb's voice cuts in, pleasant and precise. You did. The neighbors called emergency services. Sirens flash in her mind, red, blue, but they slide away before she can anchor them. Were they real or borrowed from another time? Lena squeezes her hands. You don't remember, do you? The room tilts. Evelyn swallows, forcing her clinical mind forward. Contradiction, reinforcement, authority through repetition. She recognizes the technique even as it closes around her. I just don't want to worry you, she whispers. Caleb smiles, victory disguised as reassurance. Then let us help. By evening, the house has a new rhythm. At dinner, Caleb sits where her husband once did, wine for himself and Lena, sparkling water for Evelyn. Better not mix with medication, he says lightly. I haven't taken it yet, Evelyn replies. Caleb pauses. I watched you take it at 5. Lena nods. I did too. Evelyn feels the ground shift beneath her certainty. 2 witnesses, 1 empty pill cup waiting upstairs. She excuses herself early, heart pounding, not with panic but resolve. Something is wrong, and if her memory can't protect her, something else will have to. Outside on the balcony, the snow glows faintly under moonlight. Across the trees, a single porch light flickers on at a distant cabin. A man stands there watching the house through a scope. For the first time all day, Evelyn exhales. The man across the trees doesn't wave. He doesn't move. He simply lowers the scope, studies the house one last time, and turns off the porch light. Darkness swallows the cabin. For reasons Evelyn can't explain, the sight steadies her more than any medication ever has. It was real, she saw it, and she knows she'll remember that. She locks the balcony door before going inside. The bedroom feels colder than it should, too quiet. She moves to the nightstand, reaching for the paper cup where her pills always wait, neatly arranged, 2 capsules, blue and white. The cup is empty. A cold spreads through her chest that has nothing to do with winter. She remembers seeing them there before dinner. She remembers thinking about taking them later. That memory is solid, heavy, real. I didn't take them, someone else did. Evelyn sits on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. On the mirror, yellow notes stare back at her like silent witnesses. One of them reads, "Trust your process." She doesn't remember writing that either, but it sounds like her. She pulls a pen from the drawer and adds another note, pressing hard so the letters bite through the paper. They are lying. She hides it behind the photo frame on her nightstand, out of sight but not out of reach. Down the hall, music drifts faintly through the walls, jazz, vinyl crackle, her husband's study. No, she turned that record off, she is certain of it. Evelyn opens the door quietly and steps into the hallway. The sound grows clearer as she approaches the study. The door is slightly ajar, light spilling out. Someone is inside, touching things that were never meant for them. She retreats instead of confronting, not fear, strategy. Her clinical mind clicks into place. Observe first. Confirm pattern, do not reveal awareness. Sleep comes poorly. At 2:14 a.m., a sound slices through the darkness. A single piano note, then another, high, hesitant, wrong. Someone stumbling through a melody she knows too well. Her breath catches. Her husband used to play that piece when he couldn't sleep, but the piano was locked. She remembers that, or was she told it was? Bare feet hit cold wood as she moves into the hall. The heat is off again. The melody falters, then stops. Silence rushes in, heavy and accusing. "Hello," her voice shakes despite her effort. She reaches the living room and flicks on the chandelier. Light floods the space. The piano sits untouched in the corner, lid closed, dust undisturbed. She places her hand on the lacquered surface. Cold, no warmth, no vibration. "Mom," Caleb stands behind her, dressed perfectly even at this hour. Silk pajamas, controlled concern. "Did you hear that?" she asks. "The piano." He tilts his head sympathetically. "It's locked, remember." "We locked it because you said it was watching you." "I never said that." "You did," he replies smoothly. "We did it to help you feel safe." He tugs at the lid. It doesn't budge. Locked. Evidence. As he guides her back upstairs, he mentions new medication, ones she doesn't remember agreeing to. Antipsychotics, he calls them, not blood pressure pills like she believed. Later, lying in the dark, Evelyn hears it again. One single piano note. She doesn't smile. She doesn't cry. She understands now. This isn't confusion. It's a game, and someone in this house is playing her. 10 days before the holiday, the snow stops falling and the world settles into a blinding, brittle quiet. Dr. Evelyn Hart stands in the kitchen staring at the knife block. One slot is empty. The small utility knife, the one she uses for fruit. She doesn't touch the block. She doesn't move. She already knows what's coming. Right on schedule, footsteps approach behind her. "Evelyn," Caleb calls casually as if asking about the weather. "Have you seen the little knife?" She turns slowly, letting her eyes cloud just enough. "I don't remember," she says. It isn't a lie, but it isn't the truth either. Caleb studies her face, searching for resistance. Finding none, he nods, satisfied. Another point for him. A sudden pounding slams into the front door, not a knock, a demand, 3 heavy strikes that vibrate through the house. Evelyn's heart jumps, not in fear but surprise. Caleb is already moving, irritation flashing across his face before he smooths it away. When he opens the door, winter rushes in along with the scent of pine and metal. The man on the porch looks carved from the mountain itself, thick coat, worn boots, pale eyes that miss nothing. He grips a shovel like a warning. "You need to fix your lights," the man growls. "They've been flashing all night." Caleb chuckles politely. "They're motion sensors, probably just the wind." "Wind doesn't walk patterns," the man replies flatly. Evelyn steps closer, drawn by the tension. The stranger's eyes meet hers, sharp and assessing, not confused, not dismissive, curious. "You all right, Doc?" he asks. She hesitates. "I'm having trouble remembering things." Caleb moves instantly. She has dementia, he says, low and confidential. Some hallucinations we manage. The man doesn't look away from Evelyn. I know what I saw, he says instead. 3 nights now, someone digging near the foundation around 3 a.m. Caleb's jaw tightens. I was checking drainage. In frozen ground, the man repeats. Silence stretches, then the shovel withdraws. Fix the lights, he says to Evelyn, and if the noise keeps you up, I'm always awake. He leaves, boots crunching into snow. Caleb slams the door, anger leaking through the charm. Unstable old lunatic, he mutters. Dangerous? Evelyn barely hears him. Her mind is suddenly clear in a way it hasn't been for weeks. Someone else saw it. She didn't imagine the digging, she didn't invent the lights, and Caleb lied smoothly but not perfectly. Later, when he asks again about the missing knife, she answers softly, I don't remember. Inside, she stores the moment away carefully. External confirmation, independent witness. The fog didn't lift, but it thinned. Whatever Caleb is searching for in the ground, it isn't random. And whatever he's building inside her mind, it depends on her believing she's alone. She isn't. And for the first time since the diagnosis, Dr. Evelyn Hart stops feeling like prey. The morning before the holiday arrives wrapped in false calm. The house smells like pine cleaner and something sweet baking in the oven, comfort engineered on purpose. Dr. Evelyn Hart sits in her armchair near the window, blanket folded neatly over her knees, hands resting where Caleb can see them. She keeps her gaze unfocused, mouth slightly open. She has learned which version of herself makes him relax. I need to head into town, Caleb announces, straightening his coat. Legal paperwork. Estate details. Her pulse spikes, but she lets nothing show. Of course, she murmurs. He pauses at the door. Lena's resting, migraine, don't open the door for anyone. His eyes harden just a fraction. Especially not the neighbor. I won't, Evelyn promises softly. She waits. 30 seconds, 60, 120. She counts the way she was trained to anchoring herself to numbers that won't betray her. When the engine fades down the drive, she exhales and stands. The frail woman disappears. The doctor remains. Her thoughts organize quickly now, snapping into sequence. Digging at night, false medications, manipulated witnesses. A locked piano that wasn't locked, something hidden, something he is afraid of. The study, the room is ice cold. The heating vent has been shut off. Caleb doesn't want her in here. That alone confirms everything. She moves straight to the turntable. The vintage machine Caleb claimed was broken. She lifts the heavy platter and sees it immediately. The drive belt slipped, not snapped. A simple sabotage, reversible, cheap trick, she whispers. Her fingers ache as she stretches the belt back into place, but it seats perfectly. The machine hums to life. Now she needs the right record, not something obvious. Her husband was careful, secrets lived inside beauty. She scans the shelves, breath quickening, then she sees it. A pristine classical box set, his favorite, too perfect. She lifts it down and opens it. Beneath the velvet lining sits an unmarked disc, a date scratched near the center. Her chest tightens. She remembers that year, the silence, the change in her husband afterward. She places the disc on the platter. The needle drops, static, breath. Then her husband's voice, clinical, detached, dangerous, a session recording. A patient with narcissistic pathology, intelligent, remorseless. Then another voice enters, younger, arrogant, familiar. Evelyn grips the desk as the truth unfolds in cold, precise sentences. A changed name, a murdered father. A plan seeded decades ago, a promise of revenge spoken casually like ordering coffee. Headlights flood the window. Too soon, panic claws at her ribs, but training holds. She resets the belt, hides the disc. Disrupts the evidence without destroying it. When Caleb enters, she is seated, photo album open, tears ready. "I miss him," she whispers. Caleb studies the room. He misses the truth by inches. As he leads her away, Evelyn feels the weight of knowledge settle into her bones. She knows who he is. She knows why he's here. And now the game has rules. The storm arrives without apology. Wind slams into the glass walls like a living thing, howling through the mountain pass and swallowing the road back to town. By nightfall, the house feels sealed off from the rest of the world, pressurized, waiting. Dr. Evelyn Hart sits at the dining table, spine straight, hands folded beneath the edge where Caleb can't see them, trembling. "Where's Lena?" Evelyn asks, keeping her voice even. Caleb sets a bowl of soup in front of her. Tomato, basil, comfort masquerading as care. "She's sleeping. Migraine medication knocked her out." He smiles. "Deep sleep." The words are chosen carefully. Evelyn recognizes that too. "I'm not hungry," she says, nudging the bowl away. Caleb sits across from her instead of standing. That's new. Predators sit when they believe the trap is closed. "You need strength," he says. "The storm took out the landlines, cell service too. Looks like it's just us tonight, just us." Later, he mentions the records. Casually, almost lazily, how one box seemed disturbed, how warm vinyl shouldn't be warm. The air thickens. Evelyn feels the moment when pretending will no longer save her. "Hello, Marcus," she says quietly. The smile that spreads across his face isn't relief, it's pleasure, recognition at last. "Took you long enough," he murmurs. He doesn't deny anything, he never does. He corrects her instead about the past, about her husband's death, about Lena being nothing more than leverage. When Evelyn lunges with a hidden screwdriver, he catches her wrist easily, disarms her. Drags her down the hall like an inconvenience. The master bedroom becomes a weapon, the balcony doors thrown open, snow pouring in, the heat cut. "Hypothermia is peaceful," Marcus says almost kindly. "You'll just fall asleep." He locks the door, time fractures. Evelyn's thoughts slow, then sharpen. Stage 1 hypothermia, her mind recites, loss of dexterity, confusion. She refuses the confusion, crawls, thinks. Sees the fireplace tools, the door hinges. Metal strikes metal, pins inch upward. Pain means nothing, survival means everything. When the door finally gives, she spills into the hallway, gasping, alive. The house is dark, power gone. Somewhere below, footsteps, Marcus pacing, waiting for silence. Evelyn forces herself upright. She remembers the neighbor, the light, the signal. She finds the old emergency flashlight, heavy, industrial, blinding. At the top of the stairs, she sees Marcus below, relaxed, victorious, drinking from her husband's glass. A floorboard betrays her. He looks up. "How did you get out?" he asks calmly. Evelyn lets her face go slack. Lets the fog return on purpose. "Robert," she whispers. Marcus hesitates. And hesitation, she knows, is the crack everything else breaks through. Marcus doesn't rush her. That's the mistake. He watches, fascinated, as Dr. Evelyn Hart drifts down the stairs with a soft, uncertain smile, eyes unfocused, hands trembling just enough to sell the illusion. "Robert," she says again, voice thin and hopeful. "You came back." For a split second, Marcus freezes, not fear, curiosity. He studies her the way a scientist studies a specimen that isn't behaving as expected. "I'm not your husband," he sneers finally, but the edge in his voice is dulled. "You're confusing things again." She nods eagerly, stepping closer. Of course, I made you tea. It's in the library. You left the music on." She turns her back to him and walks away, every instinct in her screams not to do it. Exposing her spine, offering her neck, but narcissism feeds on victory, not speed. Marcus follows, amused, savoring what he believes is total control. The library door looms ahead, locked. Evelyn fumbles with the handle, panic blooming on her face. "It's too loud," she whimpers. "Please, Robert, my head hurts." She collapses against Marcus's chest, shaking, small, broken. He exhales, annoyed but indulgent. "You really are gone," he mutters, pulling out the master key. "Fine, I'll turn it off." The lock clicks. The door opens. Inside, the room is black, no power, no warmth, just shelves and shadows. Evelyn stumbles inside first. Marcus steps over the threshold behind her. That's when the fog vanishes. Evelyn pivots, grip tightening around the heavy metal flashlight hidden against her thigh. She doesn't aim high, she doesn't hesitate. She swings low, brutally precise, driving the full weight of the flashlight into his knee. The sound is wrong, wet, final. Marcus screams and collapses, shock ripping the breath from his lungs. The glass in his hand shatters across the floor. Evelyn slams the door and twists the lock just as his body hits the wood from the other side. "You stupid," she doesn't listen. She runs. The bay window faces the trees, but frost has sealed it opaque. Her fingers scrape uselessly at the ice. Behind her, the door buckles, wood cracks. Marcus is strong, even injured, strong enough. She remembers the light. Evelyn clears a narrow strip of glass and raises the flashlight. The beam slices through the storm, brutal and white, stabbing into the darkness where the neighbor's cabin should be. She flashes wildly, no pattern, no precision. Just desperation made visible, the door explodes inward. Marcus staggers through, syringe in hand, face twisted with fury and pain. "No one is coming," he snarls. Evelyn lowers the light and faces him, heart hammering. "You're wrong," she says calmly. "You just never learn to look behind you." Glass shatters, wind roars, a rifle clicks. The hunt is over, but the truth still has one more witness who needs to hear it. The rifle's report tears through the library like thunder trapped indoors. Marcus doesn't fall gracefully. He stumbles backward, shock stealing his balance before pain catches up, slamming into the shelves hard enough to send books raining down around him. The syringe skitters across the floor, harmless now. The man in the broken window doesn't hurry. Snow clings to his coat, his expression carved from the same stone as the mountains behind him. He keeps the rifle trained steadily, patiently, like this was never in doubt. "I warned you," he mutters. Evelyn's knees finally give. She slides down the wall, breath coming in sharp, uncontrollable bursts. The storm still screams through the shattered glass, but something inside the room has gone quiet. The game is finished. Footsteps stumble into the library, Lena, groggy and disoriented, eyes widening at the blood, the gun, her husband on the floor. "Marcus," her voice cracks. "What happened?" Marcus seizes the moment, clutching at her sleeve. "Your mother, she's sick. She attacked me. They broke in. You have to help me." His grip is tight, possessive, telling. Evelyn stands, forcing herself upright despite the cold, despite the shaking. "Lena," she says softly, "look at his eyes." Lena hesitates. Then she looks, not at the wound, not at the blood, at the calculation still burning there. The contempt, the absence of fear. Evelyn crosses the room and lifts the record from the table where it waits. Her hands are steady now. She sets it on the turntable, reconnects the belt with practiced efficiency, and lowers the needle. The room fills with static, then a younger Marcus speaks confident, amused, confessing without shame. A murdered father, a stolen name, a promise to dismantle a family piece by piece. Lena doesn't cry this time, she simply steps back. Farther, far enough, the man on the floor laughs weakly. I tolerated you, he sneers at her. You were a means to an end. That's when Lena finally understands, and understanding is louder than any scream. Authorities arrive with the storm still raging. Lights cut through the night. Hands pull Marcus away, shouting, fading down the hall until the house is quiet again, truly quiet for the first time in months. Weeks later, a courtroom replaces the library. The record plays again. This time, no one questions Evelyn's clarity. No one corrects her. When the judge's gavel falls, it sounds like a lock turning for good. Spring comes slowly to the mountains. Snow retreats. Light returns. Evelyn sits on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, listening to her daughter practice piano inside. The melody isn't perfect, but it's real. Some days the fog returns. Some days names slip away, but the truth does not, because truth doesn't live in memory alone. It lives in patterns, in instinct, in the moments when something inside you refuses to be erased. And that, Evelyn knows with absolute certainty, is something no one can ever take from her. They tell Dr. Evelyn Hart that memory fades in fragments, not all at once. That some mornings will feel whole while others will arrive already broken. She believes them because now she understands something most people never do. Memory is fragile, truth is not. Spring settles fully into the mountains. The snowmelt feeds the creek below the house, a steady sound that anchors her when the days feel thin. The curtains are lighter now, the doors stay unlocked. Silence no longer feels like a threat. Evelyn sits at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee growing cold in her hands. A yellow note clings to the mug in her daughter's handwriting. Drink while it's warm. She smiles at that. Some systems still work, some always will. Lena moves through the house differently these days. Slower, more present, less apologetic. The guilt still lives behind her eyes, but it no longer controls her. Some betrayals take years to heal, some never do. But they are no longer invisible. Across the tree line, the neighbor's cabin remains. The porch light clicks on each evening like a quiet promise. He never waves, he never needs to. Presence is enough. There are appointments now. New doctors, new protocols. Evelyn participates fully, asks sharp questions on good days and fewer on bad ones. She knows the fog will thicken. She knows a future version of herself may forget the sound of the storm, the courtroom, even the records spinning in the dark. But she also knows this. Forgetting does not mean surrender. Some mornings she wakes unsure of the date. Some nights she double-checks locks that no longer need checking, and sometimes she pauses mid-task, uncertain where she was going or why. When that happens, she sits down, she breathes, she listens. Patterns remain, danger still smells like something, lies still feel sharp, and kindness, real kindness, never needs to announce itself. Evelyn keeps one final note tucked inside a drawer she opens every morning, not for reminders, for grounding. The handwriting is shaky but unmistakably hers. If something feels wrong, it probably is. She reads it aloud on difficult days. She trusts it. Inside the house, piano music drifts gently through the halls, not perfect, never quite on tempo, but honest. Evelyn closes her eyes and lets it wash over her, letting the present moment settle without demanding permanence. The man who believed her illness made her invisible was wrong. The fog did not protect him, it exposed him. And though time may take pieces of her story, it will never take the ending. Because even when memory loosens its grip, instinct remains. Even when names fade, truth stays loud. And even in the fog, Dr. Evelyn Hart knows exactly who she is. Time moves differently after survival. It no longer rushes, it waits. Dr. Evelyn Hart sits by the wide window as evening settles over the mountains, the sky bleeding slowly from gold into deep violet. The world feels quieter now, not empty, just finally honest. No footsteps pacing at night, no voices correcting her reality, no hands rearranging her life while smiling into her face. The house still holds echoes. Some are painful, some are warm. She has learned not to fight them. There are days when Evelyn forgets where she placed her glasses, when a name hovers just out of reach, when a sentence slips away halfway through forming. And then there are days like this one, clear, steady, grounded, when she remembers exactly what happened and why it matters. Justice did not restore her memory, it restored her dignity. Her daughter sits nearby, flipping through an old photo album, careful not to rush her. They no longer speak around Evelyn, they speak with her. That difference alone feels like oxygen. Trust, once broken, is rebuilt quietly through consistency, through listening, through believing. Outside, the wind brushes the trees, gentle now, no storms, no alarms, just movement. Evelyn understands something she didn't before. Memory is not the keeper of identity, choice is, courage is. And sometimes survival is simply the refusal to accept the version of reality someone else tries to sell you. She reaches for a small notebook on the table beside her. Inside are short entries, not detailed, not chronological, just truths. I was not imagining it. I trusted my instincts. I survived. Those truths don't fade. And maybe one day she won't remember writing them. Maybe one day she'll read them like a letter from a stranger, but even then they will still belong to her. Because the fog never erased her strength, it revealed it. If this story tells us anything, it's this. The most dangerous lies are the ones told softly, wrapped in concern, repeated until doubt feels easier than resistance. And the bravest thing a person can do, especially when they are vulnerable, is to trust the quiet voice inside that says something is wrong. That voice saved her life. And if you're listening to this story right now, maybe it's reminding you to trust yours too. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. If this story moved you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts below. Your support helps these stories reach others who need to hear them. Some truths deserve to be shared. And some stories once told refuse to be forgotten. Thanks for watching.